Saint Anthony of Padua. Saint Anthony of Padua was born on August 15, 1195, in Lisbon, Portugal. He first joined the Augustinian order, but then joined the Franciscan order in 1221. He became a Franciscan because of the 5 bodies that came to St. Anthony's monastery to be buried. These bodies were his friends, who were Franciscan proto-martyrs that died for their Catholic faith in Morocco. He became known as a doctor of the Church by Pope Pius XII. When St. Anthony spoke the word of the gospel to heretics who would not listen, he went and preached to the animals. St. Anthony wanted to preach the true gospel of the Catholic faith from his heart and mind at every moment. 336 years after his death, his body was found mutilated, but his tongue was left untouched, supposedly by the perfect teaching that was formed upon it. He was canonized on May 30th, 1232 by Pope Gregory IV, less than 1 year after his death. This is one of the quickest canonizations in the Catholic Church. He is especially known as the saint of recovery of lost items and the most famous of St. Francis of Assisi's followers. The feast of St. Anthony is on June 13th. On the last Sunday in August, St. Anthony is celebrated by Italians all over the world. This is the largest religious feast of Italians in the United States. A church in Beaumont, Texas is named after St. Anthony and celebrated its 100-year anniversary on January 27, 2007. St. Anthony is an excellent example of a disciple of the Catholic Church. When no one would listen to him, he would not give up and would speak to the animals that miraculously understood and would show that they believed. In one example, a heretic locked his donkey up with no food or water for 3 days and then brought it to Anthony. The deal was that if the donkey refused his water and fodder and turned to the Eucharist, then it really was the body of Christ. St. Anthony preached to the donkey, telling it about the Creator of his life and of the food, and commanded him to offer veneration due to Christ. Then the heretic offered the donkey food and water, but he ignored it and recognized the Lord and knelt before the Eucharist. In another example, St. Anthony tried to preach to a large number of heretics for days, but they refused to listen. St. Anthony then decided to go to the seashore, between the river and the sea. There he called out to all of the fish and preached to them. As soon as they were summoned, a bunch of different fish came and put their heads out of the water and paid close attention to St. Anthony's words. He told them to return thanks to their Creator for the fins he had given them and for the life he had blessed all of the fish with. Upon hearing these words, the fish bowed their heads and expressed their reverence and praise to God. When the people saw this, they bowed down to the feet of St. Anthony, who never quit preaching. All of the heretics were now converted Catholics. St. Anthony connects to me because he is the patron saint of horses. When I'm having issues with my horses, I pray to him. I ask him to help me understand my horse's actions and thoughts. St. Anthony is also the patron saint of lost or stolen objects. I pray to him oftentimes because I lose things very often. I also like how he wouldn't stop preaching, even when people wouldn't listen. He has taught me to never give up when trying to get a point across. He has also shown me that anything that may seem impossible could be made possible. I believe that St. Anthony best fits the Carondelet learning expectation of a gospel-centered person. He based his whole life off of the gospel and constantly was preaching it. He never doubted God or his faith. Even in the toughest of situations, he kept what he knew best. If people wouldn't listen to him or believe him, he wouldn't force them to. He would move on and preach to those who cared. He would also oftentimes preach to the animals around him. The animals would show signs of belief and would bow down to God. When people saw the animals' reactions, they would decide to start listening to St. Anthony.